Picture this, fourth quarter of the playoff game right now. It is spring season tennis, 2v2, track. You're on the track or the field. Last minute comes. It's for state. It's to qualify. Everything is on the line. But instead of panicking, you're feeling pretty calm because you just did this in wrestling last season. 1v1 with someone else on the mat. You knew that you could do what you needed to do to get it done and beat the opponents. Or maybe in the spring or in the fall when you had volleyball or football or whatever the case is, and you knew how that felt when the moments came down to the end, and you knew how to stay precisely in the moment, make those precise decisions under the pressure to perform at our peak ability. And that is where this mental edge of multi-sport athletics develops from. And this week, this is what we are talking about, the mental edge we can get when we're playing multiple sports. Now, it does not just better ourselves in our athletic abilities, but also makes us build ourselves mentally tougher, sharper, and be able to adapt and perform better than our competition. We're going to be doing this by looking at a few different examples of athletes who have excelled throughout time and how they've done this. Hey y'all, welcome to the Athlete's Health with our mental performance playbook, where we are breaking down elite mental strategies to deliver these actionable, applicable exercises for immediate results. My name is Gabe Rummel, mental performance coach, founder of the Athlete's Health and creator of its Fronoic Gym. And this is where we train our minds like we are training our bodies. So each week we focus on a mental performance theme that's really going to help the athlete or the parent or the coach prepare with these tools, with these exercises, to have them in their back pocket, to build these stronger focus, resilience, confidence to play at our peak. This week, we're looking at how playing multiple sports builds a stronger mind. So without further ado, let's dive deep into this, and we're going to just rip through these, get it going. Shorter episode today. So let's start with number one, crossing over these mental muscles. Something that we don't always think about. We think about the physical muscles, right? But we don't always think about crossing over these mental muscles. And what we're going to be looking at here is this exercise of the transfer window. And this is just kind of based around the question of how do you bring that? So these are all kind of questions that sometimes I get asked. And so I bring them to the podcast to try and answer everything at a greater scale and then cut them down for the social media stuff too. But how do we bring skills from one sport into another and actually have that give us an edge, right? We hear this a good amount of times, but how do we make that have an edge? Because different sports are going to challenge different physical muscles, right? But that's also going to challenge different mental muscles, different ways to think about a game. Like wrestling is going to sharpen your one-on-one focus. It's going to sharpen thinking about getting the leverage. Basketball and so because there's going to be some slow times when we're dancing around the mat, right? Obviously it picks up a lot too, but basketball then, so in high school we might not be able to do both sports, but basketball as a different sport in the same season might be more decision speed, right? You have to make the quick passes, quick moves. Soccer might be more spatial awareness. Volleyball, 6 people on the court, if we're rotating, is going to be teamwork, and it can go on and on. Cross country is a great one because it's individual isolation. Now I've kind of used wrestling here because I want to give a great example of Ray Lewis. And I recently heard this. So this is awesome. Ray Lewis did not start wrestling until high school. And his first year of wrestling, he made it to state. But his lack of skills couldn't carry him. He just had brute effort. That's what carried him. But once he got into it, he realized that the one-on-one aspect of it was just like how he approached football. He just approached football. I just got to beat the person across from me on the line. If I can do that, I can crush this game of football. And he had some big motivation behind why he wanted to be so good at football. He wanted to erase his dad's name kind of from the history books. But this all is coming into his senior year, right? Where he's learned new angles on the wrestling mat. He's learned how to leverage his body weight, how to control it. And he transferred this directly into football. And he actually excelled in his football career his senior year. Not that he wasn't already, but his senior year, he was excelling at it because he put all the wrestling skills into the football. The football season, just a quick fact, I think he wrestled like 200 or 220 like the max weight, or 200 when he could have wrestled like 170. But he just wanted to make it a little challenge. And what I want us to think about this in the mental exercise piece of combining different mental muscles is think about and write down or just brainstorm on a whiteboard like I got on the back 3 different mental skills that you can gain in a secondary sport. Like if you have one sport that we all kind of say, that's our sport. That's our sport. That's one we're doing. Okay, if we're in a secondary sport, let's write down 3 things that we can learn from that secondary sport and transfer it to make us even better in the first sport. And I promise you, we can find 3 things. 3 things will cross. There's a reason so many basketball players love to play golf. There's a reason a good amount of soccer players could go run a 100, 200 meter dash. Depending on the type of style, right? But how can you apply it to the sport and to the secondary sport? Number 2 is pressure reps from every angle. And this is going to be the mental pressure multiplier. I love this, and I'm going to love the story too that we're going to be talking about here because it's something unfathomable before I did more research and found this. But a question I get is, why are multi-sport athletes so often seem calmer under pressure? And it's because they get more emotional reps, right? If you go to one game or one match versus another game, another match, maybe it's a more individual sport versus a team sport, there's going to be different pressures put on the athletes, different types of noise, different types of stress, crowd noise, if it's if it's solo or team, if there's more fast pace or if it's more decision making at a slower rate, right? These are all different types of pressures that are going to be put on the athlete. And this is my example for us. And it's insane to think about this this mental pressure multiplier. And it's Claire Hughes, okay? She is an Olympic medalist, Olympic athlete who did, I have my notes right here, Summer Olympics in cycling, and then Winter Olympics in speed skating. All right, think about that. Cycling and speed skating. 2 very different sports, but she medaled in both of these at the Olympics. Okay. And she would say that switching these disciplines, switching what she liked to do, what she focused on, really allowed her to reset her mindset rapid because each sport required a different demand. So once one was done, that season was done, she had to hop right into the next one. It's insane to think about, right? But this is really that mental pressure multiplier. You're multiplying the pressure by immediately dropping one, putting in the other one. And when we think about this, we can think about looking, analyzing, and then because then we can go apply it and cross train it. Different pressures we faced in different sports. And then we can look at what kind of coping works best for us. If it is on the golf course and we're going hole to hole and we have to compose ourselves on each walk and we have that time to think versus a soccer game or a basketball game when the ball is kind of going back and forth and the time doesn't really stop, we have to make sure we can handle the pressure and stay composed and cope with it. And then we can even look at this outside of any other athletics with relationships, with leadership building, and in all these moments how we can really multiply the mental pressure. Number 3 is decision speed and mental flexibility. So this is really going to be our situational swap across, that's our exercise across games. And this is coming to the part of, can playing one sport actually make us smarter in another sport, in the main sport that we want to do? And for this, I will bring us to Patrick Mahomes. But first, I want us to think that like each sport has its own language, right? There's terminology within it, and then there's what the players actually say with each other. So they have their own ways of communicating. And there's multiple sports that kind of expand a decision tree and make you think differently in the decisions that you can go with. So there's a lot of differences in them, but if we swap them, they can help us out a lot. For that, Patrick Mahomes grew up playing a lot of baseball, and he was specifically shortstop and pitcher. And he actually credits the experience from that for his unique arm angles that we have seen him do time and time again, that spatial awareness on the football field, and those just off platform crazy throws that seemed to always work. He credits this to a lot of the baseball that he played in the past to really help him excel. And so if we want to use this, we can try to have, when we're watching stuff on the TV or in film study during a workout, really try and explain a player movement, but do it in a metaphor from another sport. So if we can cross sports even while we're watching, if I'm watching MLB this year and I see this guy running, sprinting, I can be like, that is a fast dash, or running and catching a ball, leaping up to do it, switching that into another sport where the athletic ability is there. This can rewire us to think laterally, to think flexibly under the pressures that's commonly in that game, so we can have a different perspective on it than most of our competition and give us that edge for this decision speed, mental flexibility, and our exercise situational swap. And last one, number 4, we want some identity diversification in this and knowing that we are more than one thing. In recent times, Steph Curry is not just a basketball player, he is also a pretty dang good golfer. In recent times, this athlete could maybe do that. And it's only the ones that we talk about, right? They're the ones that we hear about. But it comes around the question of what happens to your confidence when your whole identity isn't tied into one sport. I see this so often in the youth sports where I heard this from someone, they're a soccer player, their daughters, that's all they were doing all the time. Females are more prone to get ACL injuries in soccer, specifically females, specifically in soccer, and then also other sports too. But of course, their daughters she had like ACL injury when she was 10 or something. It's so sad because they were not doing anything else. Their identity was solely in that. Their confidence was solely in that one sport. And the physical wear, let alone the mental wear that we talk about, but the physical wear could not handle it. So if we play multiple sports, we are less likely to burn out, to spiral when that sport isn't working as well as we want it to work, right? We have the confidence in the broader experience so we can take a step back. And for this one, I'm taking us a little bit older down the road. And I have some notes here, so I'm going to read this off super fast, but it's Mildred Ella, or Babe Didrikson Zaharias. She was an American athlete who excelled in many, many sports. Okay, golf, basketball, baseball, at that time, softball could be now, and track and field. So what she got going. This was in a while ago. Okay, like in 32 Olympics. She won gold medals and silver in track and field at the 1932 Summer Olympics. And then after that, she turned to professional golf and won 10 LPGA major championships. That is crazy that she just dominated the track and field and then just did a full switch to golf and becoming one of the greatest female golfers and athletes of all time. Each sport gave her a full new identity and level of confidence. And I give this example because if she can do that at that level, at the top, gold medal at LPGA champion, at the levels down, what can we accomplish? What can we do? Yes, it does help to specialize, but it also can help to cross these. And if we can write down a few things like, I am statements or reflect that, what else we're doing beyond the primary sport to really build that mental health, that self-image on more than just that one outcome. And trust me, don't get me wrong, that one outcome can be the fuel, can be the driver, that can be all we think about. But also just to know that we do still have some identity diversification for when those times do dip a little bit more and we want to get them back up so we can stay in the zone. We have something else to help us get back up, right? And as we recap this, like I said, a little bit faster through this one, but I want to make sure we know that playing multiple sports isn't just a physical advantage. It's going to also be a mental one. It'll help us increase the pressure load with reps of mental flexibility, of emotional regulation, of having some deeper confidence. Athletes that cross train get this competitive edge in ways that are sometimes overlooked. We often think get a break from that sport, but there's so much more to it. Use this transfer window, stack the pressure reps, swap your situations, diversify your identity so you can have the greatest ability to excel in all the seasons, in all areas of our life, So it is athletics and life. And I do put this here just as a little plug, but if you want to train your brain like a multi-sport athlete and don't even want to leave your primary sport, join our Phrenomic gym at the Athlete's Health and level up your mental game. We got those weekly reps that build the decision speed, resilience, focus. I want us to just end with this. Think like a quarterback, move like a wrestler, reset like a skater, and crush your next day. Gabe Rummel from the Athlete's Health. This is our mental performance playbook. Catch you next week.